It's time to take a new approach to finding true fulfillment in your career, health, and state of mind through insightful conversations with those who have found their professional and personal passions while achieving balance. Whether it's entrepreneurs, athletes, or healthcare professionals, we bring you real people, real growth right here on the Boost Podcast. Now, here's your host, Elena Lipson.
Hey Boost Squad, and welcome to episode 10. Elena Lipson here, and I am so excited to introduce today's featured guest, Ashley Tobias. Ashley, are you ready to join the Boost Squad?
I am ready to rock.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. So Ashley is a triple threat. She's a Broadway theater professional. She appeared in American Idiot, which I absolutely loved. I am a huge Green Day fan. It was my first concert, actually, that I ever went to. And she's also a youth speaker and a backup singer for multi-platinum artists like Rachel Platten and Andy Grammer. And last but not least, she's the founder and CEO of Be True to You, which is her original pop rock, interactive, and curriculum-based anti-bullying assembly program for kids. And Ashley was recognized for this work in 2016 and was named the UN's and Meaningful World's International Youth Peace Award winner, which is a huge honor. So we are so fortunate to have Ashley with us today. So I want to just jump right in and give you an opportunity to learn from her. So Ashley, what are the 3 things we should know about Be True to You?
Well, I feel like that introduction was really great because it's really what you need to know. But what you need to know about Be True to You is that it is pop rock, that it's interactive, and that it's warrior-based. So I say warrior-based because we have a program hashtag called Be Your Inner Warrior. And I think that we all have warriors within ourselves. And I think that sometimes you just need a little confidence and a little boost that it's okay to let your inner warrior out. So that's what we promote with Be True to You.
Great. And who is it geared towards?
So the program originally, I created it 2 years ago, and it was geared for K through 8. Well, that's just kind of how I wrote it. When I was reading it to myself, I was like, I think this is the age level for this program. But then this past summer, with a partnership that I had created, they asked me, do you have other age levels for your programs? And I was like, I have ideas, but I can have them if you want me to have them. So I wrote a preschool level, and now I have a high school, college level as well.
Awesome. And so your content is primarily focused around anti-bullying, is that right?
Yes. So it started as anti-bullying. It does kind of drift a little bit into just overall having confidence and being brave. I have a team mascot for Be True to You, and his name is Biddy the Bee, and it's the acronym of Be True to You, and he promotes bravery, acceptance, confidence, self-love, and being your inner warrior.
I love that.
Thanks.
Especially when you hear all of the things that are going on the internet with bullying today. I think this has never been more important. So, I love that you're taking a real mission-based approach to doing something meaningful and trying to help kids.
Yes.
So when you look at this space of having interactive educational programs for kids that are mission-based, what are some of the things that you see now and in the future?
Well, I think it's a really wonderful way to connect with children. I feel like when I first started my assembly program, my mom actually gave me the idea because she's an educator for kindergarten. And she was like, you should maybe do assemblies. You love children and you wanted to create your own business. So why not perform? Because you're a performer. Why not do something like an assembly? And I was like, my first idea went back to the assembly programs I had as a child. And they were kind of like boring and kind of routinic, and I don't know, they just weren't like very, very interesting. It might have been like one guy on like a guitar, like singing some songs or something. And I remember kind of being like, all right, I want to go back to class. Like, you never want a kid to say that. So I feel like it's really important having programs be interactive and engaging because you want the children to get up and you want them to feel involved and you want them to feel like you're on their level. Like, you never want to talk down to a child because they're so excited to see you. And they're so excited to have you as a role model that, like, if the second you talk down to them, you totally lose them. So you want to have them engaged at all times. And that's why, for me, I feel like bringing music into education is really fun because music has such power behind it. And sometimes I feel like people don't actually realize the strength that music really does have. And I think it's a really important tool to teach with. So I think interactive programs going in the future, I think it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think your background is also really fascinating. So most people, in your profession, their end goal would be like, I made it onto Broadway, I've achieved what I'm going to achieve and let's just keep doing that. But what kind of caused you to try all these different things, like being an actor, being a backup singer, and now this?
I feel like I was never really fulfilled in anything that I was doing in my past because I have such a creative mind that I love Broadway, and that's what I went to school for, to be musical theater. I just felt like I kind of it wasn't allowing me to grow as an actor. It wanted me to play the same role as the current person who's doing it on Broadway or who's doing it on the tour, and that's kind of about it. Like, they weren't really interested in who you are as an individual and what you can bring to the table. And that was something that always bothered me because I always felt like I had so much to give and I had so many creative thoughts going on. And I was like, I don't have like an outlet for this. So for me, I started like creating music and writing pop rock music because that's really like what is in my soul. Like the last show that I did, American Idiot, that's it's full of rage and it's full of passion and love. And that show actually prompted me to do Be True to You because I felt so connected to that. And I really felt like on that tour, they wanted you to be creative. And it led me to thinking, hey, I can do more. And why not create something with my own music and just let my emotions like pour? So that's kind of what I've been doing.
I love that. That's so awesome. And so
Thank you.
As someone that is not super creative or gifted in the arts, like I'm just blown away. Like I never would have even imagined that someone who was on Broadway could say like, I wasn't fulfilled, but everyone I know who's in kind of like corporate desk jobs, like we all go through periods where we're like, oh, I'm not fulfilled creatively or professionally. And so it's really interesting to hear you say the same thing. And it makes me realize like, that's probably something that everyone goes through at some point. I
think so. Yeah, I definitely agree. And I feel like there are a lot of my other friends, I think, have said that in the past too, and they suffer too, because as a creative, you always want to create more. But I feel like some people are afraid to take the risk. And I kind of just gave up theater, and I was like, I am passionate about this Be True to You program, and I'm going to take it as far as I can take it. And a part of me, as a creative, I got a little depressed at times because I was like, I went to school for musical theater. I knew what I had to do. I would wake up in the morning and audition, and I would get into a show. But now it's like I'm developing something and I don't know where it's going to go. And it's so scary, but it's also so much fun and so inspiring too. So
yeah, I think that's probably a really common feeling for entrepreneurs or anybody that is building something new. You have to kind of like let something go from your life in order to welcome new opportunities in and make room for them. And so like I know for myself, when I left working for someone else to go start on my own, I lost that security too. But I always knew that, if it didn't work out on my own, I could go back to doing the types of things I did before. And I'm sure that's comforting to know, like if you get tired of this or this doesn't work out, it's not as though you can't go back to being an actor or doing some of the singing that you were doing before. But that feeling of fear, don't let that stop you from trying to take that risk, because, you can always go back to what you were doing before, but it's more exciting and it can be ultimately a lot more fulfilling and rewarding to try something that you're just really curious about, that you have a real passion for, and just see where it goes.
Agreed. Yeah. That was really well said. Agreed. Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. So can you give us 3 tactics for how you've grown your business? I mean, you've been on this amazing journey and you've been recognized for it so soon after you started doing it. So we'd love to learn from you.
Well, I'm still learning too, but I guess 3 tactics would be about to love and to accept what you have to offer. So knowing that if you have an idea, don't put it down, because you never know where that idea can take you. So really have confidence in yourself. Social media, I feel like that's a huge thing. And I didn't really understand the benefits that I do now to how much it can grow your business and how much you can learn from it as well. And branding. I think branding is very, very important, which I've learned. Like you've mentioned before, like I do backup singing for artists. And then it's like, well, how can I take that into the world of Be True to You? So it's kind of like my name in my show. I'm Ashley T, and then I have Biddy the Bee. But Ashley T, like my hashtag is always now Be Your Inner Warrior. So like whenever I do a show for Ashley T, like a pop show of mine, like an adult show, I'm always talking about warriors and I'm always doing hashtags. So I'm always trying to cross promote everything. And I think that's very important because then you can get audience viewers from my adult like singing and then like be true to you as well. And then they'll like see what I'm doing all around. So I think those are 3 great tactics.
Yeah, I love that. Can you talk a little bit about how on social media you are finding the channels to be most effective for different groups? So for your singing career, you're probably targeting different people than you are for the purchasers of your assembly programs. And I don't know if you're even able to reach, young kids on social media, but can you talk about kind of how the different channels resonate with different groups?
No, of course. So I've noticed, I think my first thing in the beginning was whenever I had a picture, I put it up on all my social media accounts, whether it was Be True to You or Ashley Tobias. And I realized that it kind of started getting a little polluted and it just started getting a little unorganized. Actually, a couple days ago, someone was like, Ashley, you do so many things. Who are you? Are you Ashley Tobias? Are you Biddy the Bee? Are you I Am Toby? That's my band name. And I was like, maybe I should just promote just Be True to You on the Be True to You page and then Ashley Tobias on that page. So sometimes even I have confusion with cross-branding because I want everyone to know exactly what I'm doing at all times. It's really important. I've learned that Instagram, whether you might have a 2-minute video and you scale it down to 1 minute because that's all they allow you, even that 1 minute is still a bit much because I still think the 20-second or 30-second is what grabs the attention of a viewer the most. And that's what I've been noticing. Even if I'm but this is so good and it gets really good at 50 seconds in, that reader or viewer might not stay for 50 seconds. For Facebook, I realized that as much as I want to post pictures, it's really more effective when you have events. And when you have other people who are passionate about what you're doing as well, when they share and repost your events. So that's kind of what I've noticed for Facebook. I'm not really a big Twitter person. Not to say that I don't have an account, I do, but I think I'm really, maybe because I'm musical, I'm more into pictures and videos more. So I love Instagram. And I feel like Instagram is what children use a lot too. Snapchat, I'm really not a huge Snapchat. I don't even really know how to use Snapchat.
I know. I don't even have an account.
It's so weird. I don't understand. Is the purpose of Snapchat just to get those flowers on your head? Or I don't understand.
They have filters that make you look really pretty. I know that.
I've seen that. But I think it's fun, but I don't want to just use it to use it. So that's something else that's really important, just to know that just because you have all these social media accounts, you don't want to just overload people because then they're never going to be intrigued in what you're doing because they're always going to be like, oh, she's just reposting something again, or that's not important, or so I guess that's my take on social media.
Yeah, that's great. And this probably varies by industry, but it's really interesting how for you're saying Instagram has been one of the best channels. If you're going to do a video, do it for 20 to 30 seconds. Don't put the whole 1 or 2 minute video on. No one has time or wants to see that. Facebook is great for events. Twitter, you're saying, hasn't been that successful for you. I can say the same thing for my business. People follow me, but I've never actually had an engaged person reach out to me in a private message to have
from Twitter.
To have a real conversation.
Yeah, I feel like Instagram is you can actually really see who you are. And that's really more important because Twitter, anyone can post a quote or something that's not yours or you didn't say it. But on Instagram, it's what if I'm posting something hey guys, a video just about me, you can see how I'm genuine. You can hear my voice, or a singing video, there you can see the emotional intelligence in Instagram.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool. And so I think some of the things that you need to think about when you're trying to create your presence in social media is, where is your customer or buyer or user going to be, and how can you meet them there and have a message that's going to reach them? And so in Ashley's case, her user's probably not going to be that engaged on Twitter. Maybe in your case, they will be. And so, doing that research by testing lots of things, it sounds like even Ashley now is learning that she might be oversaturating her message in certain places and putting too much out there to the point where it confuses people a little. And that's okay that she did that because now she's getting that feedback and she knows. And so it's totally fine to test these things out as you're figuring out what works as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. So it sounds like you have done such cool things that are a little off the beaten path, that are very aspirational for most people, and that you've done them very successfully. But I'm sure it was a lot of hard work, and it wasn't as smooth of a ride as it sounded like when I introduced you. So if you could tell us about a time when you've stagnated or stopped making progress and how you've gotten back on track and kept going, that would be awesome.
Yeah, sure. I just want to say, like when you introduce me, it makes the viewers or listeners like feel like, oh, that person really has it together. But it's like I don't all the time. I go through bouts of like fighting with myself, believing in what I put out there. I'm just a team of one, so like I don't have money to like pay for a marketer or someone or like a social worker to come on board or a social media or like a blogger. Like, so it's just like I'm doing all these things. So at times I'm like, yeah, I'm achieving everything. I'm tackling everything you need to in a business. And then other times I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing all this by myself. I'm crazy. I have no idea. I took on a task. Like, I can't do this. I'm just going to give up because it's just bigger than me.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you bring up a really important point. So a lot of what you're passionate about is inspiring other people, helping them to find their confidence. And you come across and seem very confident, and you're even admitting that you have this doubt that is pretty regular. And I feel the exact same way. Like I have this podcast because I want to inspire people, and I'm fairly confident, yet as a business owner, I have those doubts, the exact same ones that you said, and I have them frequently. And you can be a really confident person and still have those doubts. It's healthy, because if you don't have any, then you're probably doing something wrong because you're not really being self-aware.
Exactly, yeah.
So I just wanted to comment on that. But another thing you mentioned, so you said your father was an accountant. Me, I would think that you probably grew up in a very traditional household and you went and took this different path. How did your upbringing influence sort of the path you've gone down and your thinking around building Be True to You?
Well, I have a very interesting background, actually. So I'm adopted, and that I feel like had a huge effect on the growth and just the start of Be True to You, because I feel like as a child, I felt different. I struggled with like knowing how to fit in, or I struggled with being different or looking different because my hair was like really like kinky curly, and a lot of my friends had like super straight hair. Like, I'm ethnically ambiguous and I didn't have a lot of friends like that. So I had a lot of trouble kind of just like knowing where I fit in with that. And I know that I'm an only child, or I was an only child. So I know I kind of always wanted to help other children who felt the same way. I grew up in a very, very loving home. My parents are amazing and wonderful people. They've given me everything I could have ever wanted or hoped for in a life. And they gave me the opportunity to try acting and piano lessons and dance class, and just to see what took off. But I always felt this kind of void, unexplainable void. It had nothing to do with them. It was just, I needed to know like my roots, and I didn't really know. And when I was a teenager, when I was 16, I had a cousin who actually committed suicide because I feel like he had a lack of love and people didn't understand him. And it was through my adoption and it was through my cousin that I felt like I wanted to help other people. And I didn't really know how to do that because I was a teenager. And then so when I graduated college, I started doing off-Broadway children's musicals, and I was like, I really feel so connected, and I feel like I'm helping children, but I feel like I could be doing more, and I want to make a difference, and I want to advocate for my cousin and for myself. And then that's kind of how Be True to You formed. And I was talking to my mom, who was a kindergarten teacher, and she's like, you really have a true connection with children. They love you. Like, why don't you try assembly programs? And then I thought about that, and that's how Be True to You happened. And I think I'm kind of going on a tangent a little bit because I got a little emotional for a second. But going back to being adopted and Be True to You, I feel like I'm still learning to be true to myself, because during this whole process of being adopted, I just found my birth family.
Oh, wow.
Actually, yeah, I found them. I hired a private investigator, and I found them last February. And I just met my brother for the first time 2 weeks ago. So I found out that I have a brother and I have a sister, and that's just on my mom's side. I still don't know who the father is, so I still have a whole nother side to find and figure out. But I'm still on my path of learning to be true to myself. And I had to be brave and I had to be confident to do that, because I mean, it's such a scary thing going into the unknown and not knowing what to expect or who you're going to get on the other end. So I feel like because of all those reasons, that's why I'm so passionate about my program and public speaking. I feel like I just want to share my story, and hopefully maybe there will be a child in the audience that feels the exact same way but doesn't know, or they don't have like a role model in their life that's like, it's okay to go out and search for someone, or it's okay to be true to you. So that's really what I'm trying to do. So I really believe in my message. And I think that's really important for people to know that I believe in it just as much as I'm preaching it.
Wow. What a journey you have been on. I know that you can't see Ashley. I have some video going so I can see her. And if you could just see the emotion that was on her face, I'm sure you could hear it in her voice. It's obvious that you care so deeply about this. And I think I wish I could see one of your assemblies, even though I'm not the target audience because I'm a little older than some of the school age people that you're giving these to. I mean, I imagine that you're really touching a lot of lives because I can hear the passion in your voice. I think even if you are the kid that fits in with everyone else, you probably never really feel totally accepted, especially when you're going through like adolescence. Everyone feels a little uncomfortable. So everyone can identify with your message on some level. And, I think it's really powerful. I know what you do must probably be a little draining in the sense of both creatively and even emotionally to some degree. And so how do you keep a work-life balance, and what's your escape to actually take time for yourself?
Well, I think meditation is huge. I am a huge advocate for meditation, even if it's just like 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full like 10, 15 or half an hour session. Just like sitting there in the dark and just breathing and just letting all the stresses go from that day. During my meditation process, one of my teachers taught me when I was really young to kind of envision a balloon, and that you put all your stresses into this balloon and then you're holding onto it with a string, and then you just let it go. And then it just, as it goes away, your stresses go further and further away, leaving you completely empty.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And I actually just taught, so I teach at summer camps too. I work in schools as well, and I was a camp counselor, and I was teaching a band at Brooklyn Music Factory. Actually, it's kind of like a school of rock. It's really fun. And I got 40 kids to meditate on the floor, and they all followed my instructions, and it was awesome. And afterwards, I was like, did you guys like that? I mean, were you kind of getting bored? And they were like, no, I loved it. Like, I envisioned that I was at a hockey game, or I envisioned I was with my dad somewhere here. And like, it was great to hear their stories. Like, they actually were able to just like let themselves go and just be. Just be true to you. I think meditating is important. Yoga, even if you go to the gym, sometimes it's hard for me to find time to make myself go. But even if I go for like 10, 15 minutes, I know that it makes my mind feel so much clearer. Because there are lots of times it can be like, I can have so much going on in there mentally. Even for 10, 15 minutes, if I can focus on something else, that's huge. So that really helps. And then also making sure that I find time to like hang out with my friends. Because when I first started this, I was like, no one could find me. I was completely like MIA for like a year and a half. And then I was like, I need civilization. And then I came out of it. And then my friends still accepted me, even though I was like gone for a little bit. It's great to sometimes just talk to other people and just to like have fun and share a laugh or two with your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm still a little bit in shock that you got 40 kids to sit down and meditate. That's
insane.
That's pretty amazing.
It was so great. It was a huge accomplishment.
So I want to close out with a motivational tip from you on how we can be our inner warrior.
There's a segment that I like to call Buzz Social during my show, and it's where I have a bird cage, and the bird cage is filled with other bullying stories from all the other schools that I've gone to in the past 2 years. So I've collected questions that children have, like, why do people bully, or how does a bully feel? And during this segment called Buzz Social, I asked like 6 volunteers to come up onto the stage, and we give them bravery capes. So they wear these yellow like Superman bravery capes. And we put on this background music where it makes you feel like you're going to the moon. It's really fun. And then we have each child go down the row and they say their name and they ask a question, and then they respond with their answer. And it's unbelievable like how intelligent some of these children are, and like the things that they will just come up with on their own. And then once that's over, I explain to them that it doesn't matter whether you're an insect like Biddy, or whether you're a human, whether you're in kindergarten or 5th grade or high school or college, bullying can happen anywhere. And what is important is to remember to have confidence, to accept yourself, to love yourself, to work together as a team. And by doing so, you too can be your inner warrior, and your inner warrior can come out, and we can follow Biddy's 5 rockin' rules. And by doing so, you can be true to you. So that's what I tell my children. I hope it inspires them. And I think it's a really great message.
Yeah, absolutely. So have confidence, accept yourself, and love yourself. I hope today's episode inspires you to think more about how you can find your passion and live your best life. For more information, including links to resources that Ashley and I chatted about today and how best to get in touch with her, head on over to our website, theboostpodcast.com, and check out our show notes from this episode and catch the Boost bonus. Ashley, I want to thank you for sharing your journey with us today. And remember, anything is possible for you.
Now that you've completed this episode, the next step is to join the Boost Squad for strategic insights, tips, and tricks, as well as exclusive resources designed specifically to accelerate your personal and professional growth. All this and more is waiting for you at theboostpodcast.com.